Everyone who's ever played or seen Fallout knows about the classic phrase, war never changes, which by the way is a complete lie. Like, imagine going back in time and grabbing a medieval knight and bringing him to like the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima and looking him dead in the eyes and telling him this is the exact same thing he was just doing. It's not very accurate, but that same quote also applies to WorldBox too, because as everyone knows, WorldBox isn't necessarily known for its NPC's peaceful behavior, if you will. And today, I've decided to combine both things into one by creating Fallout in WorldBox here today. And as you'll see behind me, I'm using a custom Fallout map right here, which has almost every single lore-accurate faction from the games here. And you'll probably recognize a few of them, like the New California Republic or Caesar's Legion, but a lot of these are from the smaller or older games that a lot of people don't recognize, like the Chicago Brotherhood and the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel, which is actually from Fallout Tactics. And today, we're going to find out if the saying war never changes is accurate at all by simulating until there is only one of these factions left. In the world laws, diplomacy will be turned on along with hunger too. So you do the math, these guys are going to want to beat the crap out of each other because you know they are living in a custom apocalyptic wasteland right here, and there's not much food to go around other than, well, each other, I should say. So things are going to get really interesting here, and without further ado, let's begin. And as we click unpause, these kingdoms will begin expanding out rapidly. I had them trapped before, but look at that, a ton of new villages immediately forming here, which is actually kind of my intention to make this video a little more interesting, because if I just made all these kingdoms fight in a battle royale, only the biggest one would win, which right now would be between the New California Republic and Caesar's Legion. But if I actually give them time to expand and form new villages like you see here, literally anyone could win, as what just happened over there. Did you see that? Frank Horrigan has died. Well, that's probably a blessing for everyone else. And if you don't know who Frank Horrigan is from Fallout, it's this guy. I'm not quite sure how he died, but if you noticed, he was actually trapped out here on an oil rig, which is lore accurate to Fallout as well, and makes me also realize that if I turn on the favorites icon, there are all sorts of real Fallout characters around the map, like the president of the NCR, Aaron Kimball, Caesar from Caesar's Legion, Robert House, of course, everyone's favorite Preston Garvey, and Elder Maxon as well. And here's the rest of the crew. A lot of them are lesser known, but I assure you they are all real Fallout characters right here. And no, I didn't make any of the Fallout player characters in this because I realized if I did that, I would have to make them super overpowered because they literally have unlimited plot armor. But holy crap, Robert House was killed by Ebo. Who the hell is Ebo? Just this random dude right here, which, wait a minute, he just ate. He's holding meat in his hand and going down to his hunger. It's 99% up, but his favorite food is question mark. Did that guy just eat the leader of New Vegas? You know, honestly, if that happened in, like, this show, that would sound pretty crazy, but honestly, that's pretty lore accurate for Fallout. And WorldBox, apparently. There's a lot of cannibals in WorldBox for some reason. But I guess speaking of different factions here, you should probably go ahead and pick which one you want to win. And honestly, looking through all here, I think I'm gonna have to go with the New California Republic. They're just the coolest faction to me in the game by far, for completely unbiased reasons, of course. But as I say that, the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel has declared war on the Chicago Brotherhood, which if you've seen the Fallout show season 1 or 2 is actually not surprising at all, something like that happening. It's always weird to me how people of essentially the same ideas and faction can go to war with each other, but you know, actually thinking about it, that's how a lot of human history has worked too, like with the 100 Years' War. So, you know, maybe war doesn't change after all. But as they continue fighting here, I'm noticing that none of them actually have control of any power armor over here, because obviously I would have to make that for them. So as the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel actually wins the war right here, which is a very big win for them. Now they control all of central US. I'm going to give each of the Brotherhood of Steels a little bit of power armor, which will give them a slight advantage, but it would be more lore accurate. And also the new Canaanites have declared war on the White Legs over here. I'm honestly not going to lie, I've barely heard of either of these factions, so I'm just going to ignore that for the most part. So my WorldBox version of power armor is simply full iron armor with all the accessories and a flame hammer to represent one of those jet sledgehammers from the show and games that was used. And we're not not going to spawn this in too often, only over the king and then around parts of the army as well, and then do the same over here in the Eastern Brotherhood. And I guess the Mojave Brotherhood isn't involved right here, but I'll still give a little bit of equipment to the NCR because they would have power armor too, including their insanely dope NCR power armor, which was recently revealed in this show. That's honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen in Fallout anyway. But it appears Caesar's Legion has declared war on Gamma Ray super mutants, which is an interesting fight because knowing Caesar's Legion, they are going to massacre every single super mutant here if they're able to, which it appears that is precisely what they're doing. So Caesar's Legion actually isn't even going to get stronger. They're just murdering everyone over here for the love of the game. I also like how some of these factions are still literally using the Panama Canal down here to get ships through, even though it's been like 400 years since the bombs have dropped. But New Canaan was able to take out the White Legs or whoever they fought, making them a little bit stronger. The Midwest Brotherhood of Steel is getting extremely powerful. However, it appears Caesar's Legion has declared war on them for no reason when they're already weak from dealing with the super mutants. By the way, Point Lookout ended up finishing them off and actually getting a village down here in Texas, which is interesting. And also, it appears that the Nuclear War Raiders ended up taking out the Pit Raiders from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm also noticing right around Philadelphia, there's a monolith here. I'm not sure if that's true for real life or anything, but that could lead to some very weird things happening over here. And despite Caesar's Legion actually being statistically weaker, they are dealing with the Brotherhood pretty good, I have to say, because the Great Khans have gotten involved in the war too, meaning the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel is actually weaker than those two guys. And they just lost their biggest village by far with like 400 people, making the Great Khans extremely powerful, but also meaning the Midwest Brotherhood is about to perish. On the other hand, my favorite guys over here, the New California Republic, have done absolutely jack squat here as New Canaan is about to invade and take over New Vegas. I did not think they would do anything, but the NCR's really got to get involved. As of right now, they're still the most powerful faction, but not necessarily by a lot, simply because they haven't done anything, as the Eastern Brotherhood of Steel has truly become Eastern, dealing with Point Lookout over here and having literally almost all of the East Coast under their control, as the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel once again has fought back. These guys are actually pretty powerful. They have decimated the Great Khan's army, I guess because of the better technology we gave them earlier, and they're about to have the comeback of the century and actually win here, taking the Great Khan's main village, and then they'll be pushing into Caesar's Legion beyond there. Strangely enough though, the Commonwealth Provisional States is actually about to be taken down by Far Harbor out of all kingdoms, which is a very minor nation right here, and as they fall, New England's actually looking quite a bit powerful over here. Of course, the main battle is still between the Midwest Brotherhood and Caesar's Legion, which is an insane conflict right here, but Caesar's Legion only has 7 soldiers left, and they're also led by a 9-year-old. So yeah, these guys might be screwed. And right in the middle of New Vegas, we can see the Warrior, who I believe is from Fallout Tactics. And even in Fallout Tactics, this dude's an absolute mad lad, which appears to be the persona he's upkeeping here with 18 kills. And he's actually upgraded his power armor right here. I believe he's killed other people who had power armor, and he's taken the better pieces, giving him absolutely insane stats as he's leading the Midwest Brotherhood to victory, as they're about to take Caesar's Legion's main village, their only village, and they do, but then New Canaan immediately declares war on them as well, trying to jump in while there's still a chance. And that was a great decision, as they've already wiped out a ton of the Midwest Brotherhood immediately. But then, holy crap, the NCR's finally getting involved. Yes, I know I said there was no bias, but let's be real, there totally is a bunch of bias. They've taken New Vegas, and they're moving a huge army in. And I just turned on the setting where you can see how many are near an army, and there's an army of 200 troops strong right here moving in. Unluckily, it looks like most of it went to the Midwest Brotherhood outside of New Vegas, which kinda sucks, but they're still a lot more powerful, and the NCR army is really impressive, I have to say, while the Midwest Brotherhood army is lacking because of all the constant conflict they get into. And as some more conflicts erupt here, it appears the Eastern Brotherhood is going to war with Junction City, who I've actually pretty much ignored here. They weren't really that powerful, but now they'll have the entire Southeast, while the NCR eventually dealt with that little other kingdom one that was here as well. So they've consolidated the entire west coast of the US. But it appears the Midwest Brotherhood is the most powerful by far. But speaking of Far Harbor goes to war with Nuka World, which the Eastern Brotherhood gets involved on. So yeah, it looks like these New England factions are about to fall once and for all, which means if they're actually successful in doing that, which it looks like they will be, it'll be just the Midwest Brotherhood and New California left. But the Midwest Brotherhood is going to war with the NCR. Oh my god, they have 500 soldiers while the NCR just has 30. Oh no, this is the end of the NCR right here. The Midwest Brotherhood is about to become completely unstoppable. And I think the worst thing about this all is that they're a faction from Fallout Tactics, not even a real Fallout game, and the NCR is down to just one village that's already fallen, and that's it. The NCR is destroyed while the Eastern Brotherhood struggles against the Nuka World Raiders. Are you kidding me? This is a Fallout 4 DLC mini faction that you are losing to. You are the Brotherhood of Steel, and it looks like the Midwest Brotherhood doesn't want to deal with that either, as they are declaring war on the Eastern Brotherhood, and things are already going awry here. It looks like we're about at the end. The Eastern Brotherhood has been split in two at North Carolina, and the original villages are now falling. The Eastern Brotherhood now down to just Florida of all places left. They're finally dealt with, and now the Midwest Brotherhood is actually already at war with the Nuka-Cola Raiders up here, and considering they have double the amount of soldiers that the Nuka-Cola Raiders have people, it's no question how long they're going to remain alive right here. They fall just like that, and after about 100 years, I want to say, the Midwest Brotherhood of Steel has taken over the post-apocalyptic US and has become the best Fallout faction. Out of courtesy for them, I will rename them to simply the Brotherhood of Steel. And you know, I think I can safely say that after seeing all these conflicts, war does indeed never change. And if you made it this far in the video, clearly I did something to entertain you, so I appreciate it if you would click like and subscribe. Let me know which game or series you want me to recreate in WorldBox next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.